This is a year where the movement gets smaller and we weed out the people that we don't need. The last thing we need or want is people talking about killing and exterminating Israelis. I don't want anything to do with that. That's evil. I want to exterminate Israel. Yeah, I'm not with that. That's evil. I don't think Palestine should be exterminated. I don't think Israel should. I don't think anybody should be exterminated.
Yeah, I think we
I don't want to pick up a gun and kill anybody.
I think we can all agree with Mr. Fuentes on that one. I think that's the sentiment that seems to be around right now, is that the world, like most of the regular folks in the world, don't want any of these wars or these conflicts. People just want an affordable place to live, warm food in their tummies, and jobs to be able to provide for themselves and their families. But it seems like these politicians, they tone deaf. They just don't listen.
I'm a Christian. What I want is young people to engage in the political process peacefully and lawfully and in a way that is good for themselves and their development and their well-being and their family, to take our sovereignty back. That is what I want. You want to talk about fuck a group of people, pick up a gun and kill them, exterminate them? I want nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. I don't want to be anywhere near that. That's not going to work. That's not my conscience. That's not who I am. You think that's cool? You think that's edgy? You just turned 16? You're low IQ? Fuck you. You want to go and be a part of that? Knock yourself out. We don't want you.
And you know what?
You
know what's very interesting about what he's saying here, and I was making that point earlier, is that could it be that these people, like, why is it that this is what the Republicans have to offer, is like these extreme, badass kind of people, like, you know, like, yeah, I'm a bad guy, you see? I'm a cool Americana guy. Why? Like, I'm sure the Republicans have a lot more, like, polished, learned people who put America first to offer, right? But why are they coming up with Dan Bilzerian and all these really extreme people? Could it be because they're trying to sabotage the America First populist movement? Let's talk about it down in the chat, guys, for real. Like, is this the best that the Republicans have to offer?
Year of refinement. This is Gideon's army. I don't need 3 million. I need 300. I only need the best and brightest. I only need the people that actually get it. People that care enough to do the research and the homework. People that care enough to listen. People that care enough that they're actually even going to be here in a year, 2 years, 5 years. Not people that got into this because they're in a lot of legal problems with their dad's company. Not people that got into this because they got punched in the face 6 million times. Not people that got into this because they just have nowhere else to go and that's all they can contribute. So I want nothing to do with any of these people. They're hurting us more than they're helping us, and they have been for a long time. So you want low IQ anti-Semitism, you want a retard right, you want schizo conspiracy, exterminate Israelis, left-right fusion, you go and do that. And to you I say good luck. My mission this year remains, and by the way, I'm not going away. What are you going to do? Call me a gay Mexican Fed again? Oh no. Oh my, what are we going to do? I've never heard that one before. We're not going away. I'm doing this show every night, most nights, 5 nights a week sometimes. I'm doing this show every night for years, and my explicit mission is defeat Vivek Ramaswamy in Ohio. Democrats win the midterms in 26, and we make sure that J.D. Vance and Marco Rubio lose in 2028. That is my mission. That is all I care about at this point in time.
That's interesting.
That is my overriding priority.
That's interesting. So then, you know what he's not saying, though, is like, who is he backing? I would like to know who Mr. Fuentes would see in the White House come 2028. I'm curious. Who do you guys think he's going to be backing? Or is he going to run himself? That would be interesting, because for sure we need level-headed people and not warmongers, for sure. And I think J.D. Vance has been trying to distance himself away from this Iran mess, because I think this is pretty much like his political suicide for him that Trump did on his behalf. I kind of feel bad for the guy. in a way, because like things were going well until Trump just took like a complete left turn and just did literally the middle finger to the MAGA movement and to all the people that supported him, and entirely bastardized the movement. So yeah, I'm curious to know, who do you guys think Nick Fuentes is going to be backing in the next elections? Let's talk about it in the chat.
I'm not trying to win a dick measuring contest with the roid head. I'm not trying to win a social media argument with somebody that got, you know, their face caved in the UFC. I'm not interested in these intramural sideshow debates with idiots. What I am interested in is taking over the GOP. And by the way, we're going to do it with or without him. We did before, we will now. I'm not looking for knuckleheads. I am looking for the best and brightest, the geniuses. Yeah, I'm looking for the refined people. I'm not looking for the alpha muscular Christians that are going to take the country back. No, I'm looking for the actually intelligent, sophisticated, refined.
I like that. I like that. So I guess he's answered my question. So it looks like he hasn't found, what he's saying is that he hasn't found a candidate that he deems ideal yet. And I do agree with him. I don't think you want like someone that is like roided up, raging, like Hulk smash, any of that, right? Like having political powers, because then we end up in a case like where we are right now with the hummus, chokehold, and all that, right? So completely agree with Nick Fuentes on this one.
Find people that are deadly serious about this, that are going to give their lives to this, not in some ecstatic martyrdom, not in some violent sacrifice, but they're going to give their lives to it with the monotony every single day, bit by bit, when we're winning, when we're losing, climbing the ladder in the bureaucracy and everywhere else, choosing at all possible times the most advantageous thing so that we can eventually become the kingmakers and the decision makers in politics. That's what I'm interested in. I am not interested in being whatever. We're interested in creating that shadow empire, that invisible empire of groypers. And to the extent we're engaging in electoral politics, I'm interested in derailing the biggest threat to America first, which is coming from the Peter Thiel network. That is the biggest threat, actually.
All right.
The biggest threat, and I said this last week.
So really, this guy is very intelligent. Nick Fuentes, honestly, you have to give him his flowers. Flowers where they're due. Very intelligent guy. So I think it's clear, right, that like, I think there has been like a usurping of the MAGA movement. Even DJT, some people are now saying that he could even be a plant that was planted in there to sabotage this movement. And so I think a lot of the MAGA, the smart Make America Great people, because now it's even sounding unpopular to even say MAGA is almost like unpopular, right? Meanwhile, it had such traction up until DJT just came and completely decimated it and lost it all its credibility. But I'm happy to see that they're not letting go of their dreams, which is to make America great again. Even though Trump is the one who kind of pioneered it, you can say, with the hats and all that stuff, and really made it like mainstream. Really, it's bigger than just one man. I think it's like a mentality, and it's gonna live on. And it's good to see that people like Nick Fuentes, that has like a big platform, they're actually talking about this stuff and actually encouraging like brighter, younger people to be able to understand that just because DJT failed with his Make America Great agenda for one reason or the other, you can speculate. I'll leave that open. It doesn't mean that the movement is dead and buried. And I love to see that.
Week is that we will be squelched and suffocated, deprived of oxygen, throttled in the crib by Vance, by Peter Thiel, by Tucker Carlson, Joe Kent, David Sachs, this coalition of pro-Russia, pro-Israel, little tech, PayPal mafia people. They are fighting against us for succession of the MAGA movement. That is the only fight that matters right now. And that's actually just a little bit too complicated for people with an 85 IQ to understand, and that's okay. You hold down the fort. You keep posting fuck Israel every day. You got that covered, okay? Here's your crayons. Here's your magic markers. Here's your placemat. You can go and tweet fuck Israel in everybody's replies every day forever, You're holding down the fort on that one. We, over here, will worry about the hostile takeover of the GOP. We will worry about defeating Vivek Ramaswamy, making that a referendum on the GOP, and ultimately turning the tide in 2028.
So
that's my mission. That's my sole focus.
I think that like he has quite a mission to accomplish here, given the damage that DJT has done. I think it's going to be like a blue wave. It's going to be a blue tsunami, to be honest. But you know what, like with such a platform like his, and he seems to have really dedicated followers, some even argue that actually Trump getting in his first term, Nick Fuentes, had something to do with that. Now, you might agree, you might disagree. I don't know. But that is what I've heard, like through the grapevines. But yeah, I will keep the clip playing here.
Yes. So that's a little bit about where we are in the movement right now. Like I said, I'm defiant. No, there's no love lost there. I mean, you guys are idiots. You don't know what you're doing at all. You're gonna lose, and it doesn't make any sense. And I told Dan, when you're ready to get serious,
I really think it was all by design. I think it was all by design, and I think they are gonna lose, and it's all thanks to DJT and the way and his administration. This has been the single worst administration. Did you guys see the interview that DJT gave when he said that he doesn't really care? They asked him, Mr. President, what about like the Americans? And he said that he doesn't really care right now, that his biggest priority is ensuring that Iran don't have a nuclear weapon. That's literally what he said. And then when they asked the Vice President, J.D. Vance, about that, like what did the president actually mean by that? He tried to deny it and say, I think it's being taken out of context. But actually, no, it was quite clear for all to listen to. Maybe I'll try and find that clip for you guys at the end of this stream.
Then you call me. When you're ready to stop posting the same nonsense every day, trying to impress everybody with your little memorized speech, because you don't know anything else other than that, when you're serious, when you want to think about politics, when you want to think politically, then you give me a call. At this point, though, I'm not answering. We don't need that. It's just a load of not. And I think nobody is missing that right now. You know, we need all these earnest losers, that say, well, at least I'm doing something. You're losing. You're doing what? At least I'm doing something. You're losing. You're losing and you're making us look bad. Stop. That was the message of their conference. The message of their conference that nobody went to, that nobody watched, and it's all losers, was at least we're doing something. Doing what? Making us look like assholes? Doing what? Losing? Stop what you're doing. At least we're doing something. We can't just complain on Twitter. Well, you know what? Social media is one of the most powerful tools known to mankind. And that's working, actually. And it's working to recruit people and get people hired in government and raise money and do what needs to be done. At least we're doing something. Doing what? Fucking up your audio, making us look like idiots, humiliating us, and then losing elections, wasting our time and money. Stop what you're doing. At least we're doing something. Please stop.
So what does he suggest that happens, actually? And y'all let me know down in the chat, what do you guys think can actually turn things around for the Republicans at this point? Or is it too little, too late? Like, because it would take a miracle. They would literally need like almost a second coming of our Lord and Savior to be able to save them from the blue wave that is coming, because DJT just really pooped the bed on this one. Completely pooped the bed. And I don't know what happened with him. I really don't know what happened with DJT. He started out really focused on the America First thing, and just, I don't know what happened. Is it the Epstein files? People say it's the Epstein files. It really could be that, right? Because the way he's acting, it's really, really weird. Yeah. I know that he's always been one to be like a pretty like a big deal. He sees himself as a really big deal, but I never really saw him as a warmonger, like the way he is, just literally fighting Iran. And it's so obvious that this is not in any way in the best interest of Americans. So whose interest is this in, really? In whose best interest is it that Iran don't have a nuclear weapon, for example? Is it in America's best interest, or is it in Israel's best interest? Let's talk about it, guys.
There is no path to victory that runs through going out knowing you're going to lose. I want to go out to win. If I run for office, I'm going to want to win. If I support somebody for office, I want them to win. If I do a conference, I want it to look good and be attended by a lot of people and watched by a lot of people online. At least we're doing something. Like you get a participation trophy. This is the legacy of Oliver Anthony. All of these losers trying their best. And ultimately, they don't care enough. If you care, you put in the effort. If you really care, you do the work. You don't just tell you, well, that's all I can do. Well, that's all the time we have. That's all the money we have. If you really care, you meet the moment. You rise to the occasion. You analyze the problem, you dig deep, and you do the impossible to overcome the odds. That is what is required. That is how we have to think. That is how we have to act. There are no participation medals. Hey, not bad for only being in the race for 5 months. Not bad for only raising 100 grand. Not bad. You lost by 60 points. Not bad. You shouldn't have went out at all.
It's just like Andrew Tate, right? It's just like Andrew Tate, like another alpha male. I don't mind Andrew, but like I just thought that was funny. After he fought with that guy, the Netflix star, I forget his name, and then he got the brakes beat out of him. And then since then, have you noticed that he's a little bit more humble now? And he's like, I think like God wanted me to lose that fight because if not, then I wouldn't have lost my energy and stamina so soon. I'm like, man, could it be because of all the cigars that you're always popping? Could that be what happened? Don't get me wrong, guys. You don't see me claiming to be like a top-notch boxer, right? So for sure, he will probably knock the shit out of me in a ring. Don't get me wrong. But he just kind of reminded me of that. It's like not bad for an old man, right? He's like, he was bigger, he's stronger than me, all the excuses in the world. But really, like, why did you take that fight? So I agree with Nick here. It's like, if you know you're going to lose, then why are you running for that? This is not a joke. It's not for you to just pat yourself on the back and be like, well, you know, at least I proved to myself that I can try. No, like people's lives are lying on this, right? So if you know that you're not going to put in your best foot, you're better to not participate in the first place.
Had some strategy where we actually get something. That's what I just love. So, and ultimately, that is what separates this movement from everybody else. And let me just tell you, and this is the part you're really not going to like, that is what separates the people that are actually running our country from the people that aren't. And maybe you need to hear that. There is some aspect of learned helplessness that comes with the Jewish question. It's just true. And that's a tough pill to swallow. And you might not like to hear that, but it's true. The difference between Joe Lonsdale, Alex Karp, Sean McGuire, all these people that are the architects of our future and our lives, all of these people that have increased their power, these are all people that have taken ownership. And you can sit there and say, well, that's not fair. Well, they had this and they had that and but. Doesn't fucking matter. That's life. That's reality. Reality's a fact. Get with it. We have to be better.
Yep. And speaking of reality, let's check out some clips here, guys. Let's check out some clips of actual reality, like real life, of people actually like having a hard time with life, right? While we have like President DJT essentially saying that he doesn't care. He all but said that, right? He might as well have just said that. He might as well have just said that he didn't care. Bear with me, guys. I'm just trying to open up my... I don't know why. I'm trying to log into my TikTok account so that I can share these clips with you guys for... Let's go. All right, so we are in, and I'm gonna. All right, y'all. So let's have a look at this. So you can kind of see what people are going through right now. These are just clips of people in the job market right now. So let's see, where do you want to start from? Let's not start from Ilhan Omar. Let's go here. So this one here is like the graduate job market is cooked. While we have people in the like people complaining about the job market right now, we have like the president essentially saying that his priority is Iran not having a nuclear weapon.
Your chances of getting a job are 3 in 800. You know those videos of those graduates on the news that say like I've applied for like 500 jobs and I've not got a single one? I used to think that they were maybe like exaggerating a little bit. They're not. They're not. I can confirm. Also, don't mind me because I've just come back from the gym. Okay, so I don't think I've applied for quite nearly 500 jobs, but a lot. I've applied for a lot. To preface, I have 2 degrees, an undergraduate and master's. I am working part-time at the moment. I am volunteering. I'm doing everything that they tell you to do. I have done it. I'm doing it. I will be doing it. And I graduated my master's in October, which is an absolutely rubbish time to be looking for jobs. Businesses are winding down for Christmas. They do not want to take on new employees. So it was dry. It was dry. First job I applied for, something in the NHS. Fair enough, this was my first panel interview. I was super scared. It was my first experience in like a big proper boardroom. Didn't get that job. Fine, moved on, understood what I needed to do next time. Then I saw another job come up. It looked perfect, absolutely perfect. Applied, wasn't thinking much about it. Then suddenly I got asked to do an interview. I was thinking, right, I know what to do this time. I've had the experience. I know what I did wrong last time. I'm ready.
All right. So you get the idea, right? You get the idea. Like, let's see someone else as well. Like that is just completely crashing out.
So like, how is everyone getting jobs? I applied for literally 30 plus jobs everywhere. Walmart, Chick-fil-A, every frickin' mall job you can think of. Applied. It was all online because that's all you do. Every time you go inside, they're like, oh, apply online. So I did. I got one person to email me.
You hear that, boomers? You hear that? When every time you try and go in person, they tell you, just go ahead and apply online. So it's high time that you stop telling people to show up in person and drop off CVs. Like those days are long gone now.
They're like, can you meet on this time? I had an exam, so it's like, no, can we reschedule? And then just ghosted me. Oh, right. I have full availability. My resume is 1 paper. It's easy. It's simple. And I have no job. I'm so cooked. So, like, how is everyone getting jobs? I applied for literally 30 plus.
Meanwhile, here we have DJT himself. Trump, priority, Iran not having nukes. See? So this is him here when he was asked. And Trump. Yeah, so check this out, guys.
When you're negotiating with Iran, Mr. President, to what extent are Americans' financial situations motivating you to make a deal?
Not even a little bit. It's the only thing that matters.
So if you didn't hear, they asked him like how much of Americans' financial situation is actually making you want to make a deal. And this is what he had to say.
When I'm talking about Iran, they can't have a nuclear weapon. I don't think about Americans' financial situation. I don't think about anybody. I think about one thing. We cannot let Iran have a nuclear weapon.
You can't make this up, guys. You cannot make this up. I don't care about Americans' financial situation. I don't care about anything. So this guy has completely, he's definitely not America first. He's definitely gone. He gone.
That's all. That's the only thing that matters.
When you're negotiating with Iran,
Now we're going to
Mr.
find a
President,
clip of JD Vance because JD Vance was actually asked about this same thing. JD Vance on Trump's latest comments, because it must be so hard working for Trump. To be honest, it must be really hard working for Trump.
Situations should not be a consideration in that decision-making process?
Well, I don't think the president said that. I think that's a
Sorry, guys, we're going to have to start this again, okay? I'm just going to start the clip again.
Can I ask you, Mr. Vice President, when approaching the war with Iran, do you agree with the president's position that Americans' financial situations should not be a consideration in that decision-making process?
Well, I don't think the president said that. I think that's a misrepresentation of what the president said. But look, I agree with the president that.
But you guys all heard it before he starts with like the political like tap dancing. We all heard DJT. He said, "I don't care about the financial pains of the American people. I don't care about anything." He said that. He literally said that, guys. So I don't know what this man is going to now stay here and actually look us in the eyes and then deny it. We heard what we heard, JD.
Should not have a nuclear weapon. We're obviously engaged in a very aggressive and very engaged diplomatic process to try to ensure that that doesn't happen. And the president has a lot of options, as he said repeatedly. There are options diplomatically, there are options on the military side, but the fundamental goal here is the president wants to make the world safe, but particularly the American people safe from Iran having a nuclear weapon.
Well, thank you so much. Like, do you guys feel safe? Do you feel safer right now? With like the price of gas and the price of everything skyrocketing, did you guys feel safe? A little bit safer, perhaps? And it's for reasons like these that you have a guy like Nick Fuentes just ripping into DJT. Like, here I'm gonna play this segment of Nick while he just like completely tears DJT a new one. And you cannot say that you fault the guy. Like, they're like literally there are no lies told here. Nick has told no lies here.
Things that have been going on. And I want to say at the outset, I don't know what is going on. It could be a conspiracy. It could be coordinated. There are certainly aspects of coordination, which we will discuss. I don't know. It could all be a coincidence. And we could attribute it to malice or we can attribute it to foolishness. I don't know, but we're going to lay out the facts. And I think that really, we're going to get into some of the drama and the he said, she said, and allegations, but the big picture and the headline to me has nothing to do with any of that. And I want to make that very explicit at the beginning. We're going to talk about who said what and when and who started it. We're going to do a little bit of that. And we're going to talk about some of these events, and we can speculate about how coordinated it is and what the goal is. But I want to make it clear that that is not really all that important. I will say at the very beginning, the most important thing, the headline out of all of this, and this is a question I want you to keep in mind, is what kind of movement do you want to be a part of? That's really the question. And you can take Dan Bilzerian. I actually think he is the perfect avatar of his movement. And you could take me. And you could look at these two side by side and what we've done and our lives and what we're about. And to me, that's really what matters. And I will make the case for myself at the very beginning. When I started this show, there was a need. There was a need for a movement that was more radical than Trump, that would live up to and fulfill his original vision of making America great again and putting America first. I saw Trump as a great leader in 2016, as a pioneer, somebody who was talking specifically about three big issues. He was talking about how our foreign policy was being hijacked by neocons and by Israel, even by AIPAC, which he explicitly mentioned in 2015 to bring us to war in Iraq and ultimately in Iran and elsewhere. And that's putting America last. And Americans are dying and we're spending money to fight other people's wars. But he also talked about immigration. And he said that our country is being invaded. We need to build a wall to create distinction and separation between America and the rest of the world. Because what has been happening is that we have been invaded by non-white immigrants, for the most part, who are fundamentally changing the character of the country.
Now, some might argue and say that, you know, like, look at what was happening with ICE, right? He did his best. He got a lot of pushback from the people, which is true. So he did try on that front. Now I know that there's the TFWs and like the H-1B visa people coming in. I know that, right? But he did do something. He did do something in that regard. So I'll give him that, like, credit where it's due.
And that is not putting Native Americans first. America has a distinct character, heritage, identity. And when you bring in 70 million people in 30 years, all from the third world, they're destroying what it is to be an American. That's a critical pillar. And the last one is on trade. Where America derives its power and its strength, not just economically and militarily, but also morally, is its productivity. We're a factory, we're an engine, we're a workshop. That is what makes us a superpower. And what else has coincided with the wars and with the immigration is the deindustrialization of America. We've lost all the workshops, all the factories, all the industry. We don't make anything anymore. And when we don't make anything, we become idle. And when we become idle, we get on drugs and we kill ourselves. And women have all the jobs.
Yeah,
and
so some might argue, and then not like as if I'm a Trump fan, right? If you know me, you know I'm not a Trump fan, but some might argue that isn't that what Trump was trying to do with the tariffs, where he was trying to bring manufacturing back, even though, albeit it was short-sighted and not well planned, but that is what he claimed to be trying to do with the tariffs.
Women don't want to date the men because they make all the money, and all the communities die because the only jobs are in hospitals and schools and government administration. This is what's happening between the two coasts. And so these were the three big policy areas, but there's also dimensions above that too. It is that America has lost its way as a Christian country. It's lost its way as a European country. These are identity-based issues. And so whereas Trump maybe had the right idea on those three big policy areas, arguably the two deficits are that he was not talking about the meaningful ways in which we're losing our sense of self as flesh and blood people, but also losing our sense of self spiritually and morally as a Christian nation. And we're becoming something like a hedonistic, degenerate,
So I would
pluralistic.
I would argue against that as well. Like, I don't think that Trump is making, he's committing war crimes, but like from like a, like, I think he's like, it wasn't he the one that did something with like where a lot of people were really upset. I don't have an opinion about this, by the way, but you had, whenever he did the whole abortion rights, right? And people thought that he already banned abortion, but really he left it up to the states, right? So doing things like that, I think is like in line, right? For like Catholics, because Catholics are against that stuff. So like they're in line with that. So I think really where Trump got it wrong, and correct me down in the comments, guys, if I'm wrong, but I think where Trump got it wrong and where he started to lose his base is ever since he started this, especially since he started this war in Iran. I think that was a massive mistake from him. And honestly, I don't know why he would do that unless somebody had something that they were dangling over his head. But guys, I want us to have a conversation about this one in the chat. It's always fun reading all of your comments. Be sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I thank you guys so much for continuing to rock with me. And I'll see you on the next one. Peace.